Hey, welcome to Plant Summary Therapy, and today this is a quick video focusing on the peace lily, Spathiphyllum. The peace lily is known to be one of the best houseplants because it can tolerate low light. It prefers bright indirect light, but most homes don't have a lot of bright light, and that's why the peace lily has become one of the classics. But remember, lower light means lower photosynthesis, which means lower plant metabolism, which means less water take up. Water this plant only when it's dry, and don't let it sit in water. I water my plant about once a week, but I kind of know when it needs to be watered. The leaves aren't as shiny, and the plant is lighter. Nowadays, I don't even feel the soil. I just look at the leaves and lift the pot to see how heavy it is. I like bigger plants. It makes the house look less cluttered, and they take less care than little plants. Smaller plants have to be watered frequently, which means it has to be checked frequently. That's why I like the easy care of larger plants. But larger plants cost more. So this is how I get around that. I buy a small $3.50 plant. This one I got from Walmart. It's overgrown, its pot, but it's not struggling. It's a very healthy plant. Then I repot this plant in a pot way too big for it. Because of the perched water table, I no longer put a layer of gravel on the bottom of my pots. My soil recipe is 2 parts of potting mix, 1 part of perlite for aeration and drainage, and 1 part of orchid bark to help hold on to the nutrients and fertilizers so they all don't run out with the drainage water. Then I rinse the plant off with water to rid the plant of any particles that may be a haven for any parasites, and it also settles the soil to get rid of any air pockets. When plants are handled or if they feel threatened, they send out this pheromone to warn other plants, but this pheromone sometimes attracts parasites. I spray my plants with neem oil, which is a safe organic pesticide that's safe for the environment and to humans. Then I put this plant down the slope under a shady tree so it can grow for a couple months. This plant has been growing down the slope under a shaded tree for about 6 months. Now I'm going to propagate this plant into 2 plants. I'm going to gently remove all of the soil, trying to be careful not to damage too much of the roots. This plant is very healthy. By this time, usually the plant just pulls apart into 2 separate plants, but it's just not happening here. I'm going to cut the roots, but I'm not just going to cut directly down. I'm just going to cut the few large roots on the top, and then I'm just going to pull the plant apart. This will minimize the open wounds and decrease the risk for infection. Before I repot these pieces, I'm going to check the plants for any diseases, pull out any weak or any struggling pieces, and then discard them. This plant is actually very healthy. I don't see any infection, and all of its growth is very healthy. The soil recipe I use for these plants are 2 parts of potting mix, 1 part of perlite, this is for drainage and aeration, 1 part of volcanic soil, this is for also drainage and aeration, and about a half a part of orchid bark. This is to help retain some of the nutrients and fertilizer so it doesn't all wash out with the drainage water. I am always experimenting with my soil recipe to get the best results, but since making this video, I've been trying to be less fussy. So nowadays I just use 2 parts of potting mix and 1 part of perlite, top with sand, and hopefully that will benefit the plants just as well. When I pot the plants, I don't use wet potting mix. It's moist, but it's not wet. And then I press down only firm enough to give the plant support. I don't want to make a brick. And since this plant is going into the house, I top it with decorative gravel. And this is just aquarium gravel. It's earth tone, and it goes great with the green leaves and the black pot. It just gives a really elegant look. As before, I rinse the plants out from any debris that could be a haven or may attract parasites. And then I spray the plant down with neem oil to decrease the risk of the plant getting parasites or coming down with any type of disease. Look how beautiful and elegant peace lilies are. These are truly beautiful plants. They're easy to care for, they're easy to maintain, and they're easy to propagate. This is my quick video. Thank you for watching. Aloha.